How's it going, everyone? Sethphir here, and I have a lot of information you're going to want to know, as well as some huge traps to avoid. Let's get right into it. This is going to be a Wuthering Waves weekly guide, and I'm going to turn this into a series. Every week I'm going to sit down and go over everything that you need to get done that is expiring or coming to an end so that you don't miss out on anything at all. So the first thing I want to talk about this week is what level you're probably going to end up at. So currently, if you are not whaling, and by not whaling, I mean refreshing every day, you're probably going to be somewhere around level 31 and a half after you do your dailies today. You might be plus or minus a level depending on what you have done in terms of exploration, but that's going to be where we're at. I just want to talk about how much experience you're getting per day. So when we go to the guidebook, we're going to be looking at the first thing, which is going to be the dailies. So in terms of dailies, you are getting 2,000 experience if you complete that every day, as well as the amount of wave plates that you're going to generate, which is going to be 240 in a day cycle. That's going to give you 1,800 XP. So all in all, you're going to get 3,800 XP per day as a free-to-play player. That's just someone who's not refreshing. If you are a whale and you're refreshing 6 times max every day, you're going to be getting an additional probably about 2,700 XP per day, which is quite a lot. I'm kind of disgusted by that, but that's okay. It is what it is, right? But don't worry, we're all getting to the same place, which is the massive gatekeeping and XP caps. So just hang tight for a little while. So for this week, you're going to be expected to be about level 34 and a half by the end of the week for free-to-play players. Whales might be pushing a little bit higher, but it's going to be extremely hard to get to level 40 union level this week. I think going into next week is when we will start to see free-to-play players getting it. I think some whales will achieve it this week, but probably not all of them, depending on how many refreshes you're going for. So with that in mind, we know what we need to do. So for this week, it is safe to just go ahead and do your weekly bosses. So you're going to get 3 of those, and you're going to go ahead and want to take a look at the materials that you need. Certain characters need certain materials, and how to check that, you're just going to simply open up your Resonator page and go into your little skill bracket, and you can check on one of these little mid-levels. You should be able to see what kind of material they need. And here I can see that Calcharo needs the Bell-born boss, so I would go ahead and opt to choose into that because I can only choose 3 of them, and that's going to be an ideal setup for me. The next thing that I wanted to talk about that's going to be weekly that you need to get done and you might not be aware of is going to be this synthesizer over here. If you take a look at this, you're going to be able to craft weapon experience. You can only do this 10 times for each one of these, the blue and the green one. And this is going to be refreshing every Monday, it looks like, because I just crafted it right now, but it's got the hour calculation, so pretty much exact when the servers are going to reset. So make sure you don't miss out on that and you get your free weapon experience. Trust me, you're going to need it, especially once you level up some of your characters and their weapons. So going into the next thing that you want to take a look at, that's going to be the red or special enemies on the map. The red or special enemies on the map have specific spawn locations, and you can use a resource like a interactive map to go ahead and find out where they are. But I do have some information for you on these red spawn enemies. I killed one on about the 22nd, maybe late at night, 23rd, and it seemed to have respawned on the 26th of the month for me. So I'm guessing right now that it is about a 3 to 3.5 day cooldown on these mobs. And keep in mind that you can go to your friends' worlds and farm their mobs if they are off cooldown. So this can be a nice way to get a quick collection boost on your data bank. The mobs are very specific and locked in as far as I've seen, so you won't be able to target exactly what you want, but it may give you the nice little boost that you need, so make sure to go ahead and check those out. The next thing I want to talk about is going to be the Pioneer podcast. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because there is kind of a trap in here. You might feel pressure to get this. But if you take a look at it, you will have some weekly quests. And some of them are super annoying, like use 10 consumables. In any other game, 10 consumables is not a big deal. But in this game, there's for some reason like a 30 to 40 second cooldown on pretty much all consumables. There are a few without cooldowns, so you could go through the cooking menu and try to see if you got something like that, so you could pop 10 real quick. But make sure you get these like little annoying things done. And the one you want to avoid, the one that's a trap, is going to be tune 50 echoes. Right now, you don't have the resources in the early game, and you don't want to spend the time leveling up all these little echoes that don't have good stats. Tuning 50 times is just absolutely ridiculous in this early stage. So just go ahead and pretend that this doesn't exist. I passed on it last week as well, but do try to get everything done in here that you can. And for when it comes to something like a tacit field or a forgery challenge, you can go into that challenge and complete it. It will give you credit. You do not have to claim your wards and waste your like wave plates or anything like that. So that's a nice little trick for that. So you can definitely get all of those things done very, very, very easily. So now that we have the weekly stuff out of the way, I want to just kind of give you some daily activities as well, because this is going to be important things that's going to allow you to make meaningful progress on your account. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is probably start farming echoes. Echoes are very important. So if you go to the data bank over here, you can see that as you get into the higher levels, you'll have the ability to start getting 5 stars. Once you have the ability to start getting 5 stars, echoes turn from something that is like you want to collect them all, like a Pokédex, you want to get one time, to where you want to get multiple copies because you're trying to roll for good stats. And an example of like something with good stats could be on my Calcharo. You know, I have this one with crit damage, like something with crit damage or critical attack on a 4 cost echo is going to be very, very, very good for you. And keep in mind that the best echo build is going to be like a 4-3-3-1-1. And you're going to want to use either your 4 costs or a different one in the main socket up here, so depending on what effect you want. But the 4 costs do have the ability to get crit hit and crit damage, whereas everything else does not. The 3 costs have the ability to roll into raw damage bonus of a specific element, which is very powerful. And then the 1 costs are just flat attack. That's the best thing that you could probably get on here, unless you're building some sort of healing type character that scales off of HP. You could opt in for that, but I would definitely recommend going for the echoes that you need as well, because the set bonuses are actually insane for these echoes. If you take a look at the set bonus for Thunder for my Calcharo, I'm getting 10% plus another 15% times 2 stacks for my heavy attacks and resonance skills for electro damage. So all in all, that's about 40% damage buff, which is absolutely massive. So when I look at echoes, I pretty much just want to farm the things that are in the sets for my main characters, and I want to get correct stats. So I want elemental damage bonus, I want crit damage, and then the substats are going to be good. I wouldn't invest too much into them now, but just take a look at them and see if you get some good ones. Mainly just having a high damage boost is going to allow you to clear content and the game a lot faster, so it's just going to help you scale upwards. So what I would probably focus on is going to be the elite class of echoes. The elite class of echoes are going to be a little bit more important because they just don't spawn that much. So when you have something like the Flautus or like the Tambourinus, they're going to be very limited in their spawns in the world. So this is going to be something you want to target every day, especially if you're using one of these sets. So if you're using Havoc or whatever it may be, like if you're using electro damage, you want to target that Flautus until you get a 5-star Flautus with electric damage, and then he also rolls some good substats. So this is going to be an ideal candidate to farm. Once you have like the little baby echoes, you probably don't need to farm too much. Some of them are not too good, especially the offsets that aren't elemental and the sets that kind of scale off of your power for your character. So just make sure that you keep in mind like an idea of what you want to farm, and ultimately you're just aiming for this echo databank level 19. Once you get 19, you can get 80% chance for 5-star. That's the highest you can get. Getting level 20 does pretty much nothing for you, so there's really no point. So just kind of look into what you want to do and make a game plan for that. So now that we have echoes out of the way, the next thing I want to tell you about is a complete and absolute trap. And I've seen some people advising you to go to this shop and go ahead and buy these like herbs, these like plant type things that are used for upgrade materials. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a complete noob trap. I don't believe that it's worth the money, because money seems to be decently important. You're going to use it for a lot of things. And if you take a look at my Calcharo here, he's already level 60, the highest I can get for this union level, and we're going to be stuck at this for a while. If I want to ascend him beyond this, which I just can't because I'm not at Soul Phase 5, I would only need 12 of these flowers. These things, I believe they spawn every day. I can go and pick up like 12 to 15 of them. I'm not spending an hour doing it. I'm spending like 5 minutes. So, it's not like picking mint or anything in Genshin or whatever, but it's much, much easier. So don't feel like you're obligated to spend your shells or credits, because you are going to want those for upgrading characters, upgrading weapons, because remember that you need multiple teams for the end game. So that's going to be the goal here. Next up, we have basically what we're going to talk about is ore. Since we did talk about those herbs, we're going to talk about the ore too. That's located various places around the map. I would definitely recommend farming this because, as we pointed out before, the synthesizer takes the materials to go ahead and make the weapon XP that you can craft per week. But in addition to that, if you head over to the side, you will also see this like forge or weaponsmith type crafting system. So if you pull up this menu, you can see that you can make things like blue weapons, and you can just use these as fodder to level up your other weapons. So this can be a very, very good way to make some easy, cheap progress that doesn't cost you anything but time. So you're not gated by any sort of resource for this. So I would definitely go ahead and spend some time getting ore. And I'll let you in on a little secret here. Ore is universal in a world when you're playing co-op. So if you're playing with 2 friends and you guys all split up in 3 different locations and you start farming ore pieces, everyone in the group is going to get that ore. So it's going to make it extremely fast and really efficient. So I would highly, highly recommend getting together with some of your friends and tackling out those red elite special monsters, as well as tackling the ore, because that can be a very, very nice way to boost your account up for free and not have to spend any resources to get those materials. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about refreshing and the crystal solvents. So you may have been playing for a bit, you probably accrued some of these. It's essentially like the other refreshers in every other gacha game, where you gain the stamina required to do the bosses or the skill upgrade materials, whatever the case may be. This game is a little bit unique and different, I will say, because in most games like Genshin and Honkai Star Rail, Tower Fantasy, whatever the case may be, you are spending a vast majority of your daily timed currency here trying to get good gear, right? You're always trying to get good gear. You're trying to get gear with good stats. And the thing is that in this game, you don't have to do that. So that makes using these earlier a little bit easier, because you can already get gold gear, max level gear, and you can already start upgrading your stuff, and you can do all that for free. All you have to do is farm the world for echoes. You just have to farm the elites and equip those onto your characters. So what you're going to spend majority of your wave plates on is going to be boss materials to upgrade your characters, as well as skill materials and like weekly bosses. So you will probably have a good bit. And the other thing I want to say is that using these to get you to a threshold, like I wouldn't use them like crazy, but using these to get you to a threshold, like next week, if we use a few of these, we might be able to hit Union level 40 in that week, and that would allow us to get weekly bosses in that week and the following. So you're going to get extra materials. So using a couple of these at clutch times can be very, very important to kind of min-maxing and give you some extra value out of your account. So I would make sure to hold on those. But the other thing I was talking about was the wave plate spending. I've seen some people saying like, oh yeah, you can just go refresh your wave plates. Like it's not a big deal. It's only 60 astrite or whatever it case may be. Do not do this if you are free to play. I don't know why that even needs to be said, because it's just like in every other gacha game. But you know, 120 of these is quite a lot, especially if you're getting that first 2 refreshes for 60 every single day. You're getting minimal XP, and you're really just not getting a lot of value out of it. Now, by all means, if you're a whale, you know, do your thing. You know, you're gonna do it, and you're gonna get all the XP. Go for it, but I would definitely wait on some of those things. So that's pretty much all I have in terms of weekly and daily for now. There are a couple of bi-weekly event type scenarios and things that you're going to need to accomplish. I will go into full detail next Monday on my second weekly guide on that, as well as cover up any sort of events that are coming to a precipice or an end here, so that you can make sure to not miss out on materials. If you enjoyed this video and you found it informational, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because I will have tons of more Wuthering Wave content on the way. And thanks for your time. We'll see you later.